Kelly, Consumer Horticulture Specialist with the Mississippi State University Extension Service, and welcome to Gardening Through the Seasons for March. A lot of gardeners grow hydrangeas, and there are so many available now in the market. And this time of year, some gardeners have questions about how and when to prune. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this month's segment. But first, let's look at some of the differences in the species that are available now in the market. If you have a Hydrangea macrophylla, or a big leaf or French hydrangea as they're commonly called, these plants bloom largely on old wood or stems that were produced last growing season. So if stems are winter killed to the ground, as happened in April 2007 in several parts of the state, the plant won't flower. So prune these after flowering and before August. A common cultivar of the Hydrangea macrophylla is Nico Blue. Hydrangea quercifolia, or oak leaf hydrangea, they also bloom on last year's growth or old wood, so these should be pruned after flowering as well. Snowflake is one of the common cultivars available. Hydrangea arborescens, or the Annabelles, these are native hydrangeas. These bloom on new wood, or growth that is produced in the spring. So these should be pruned before the new growth begins early in the spring. The PG, or panicle hydrangea, which is Hydrangea paniculata, is another species that blooms on current season or new growth. So it can be pruned before that new growth begins early in the spring. Limelight is a popular cultivar of this species. If you don't know what kind of hydrangeas you have and you want to go ahead and do a little pruning, the safest thing to do to make sure that you're not going to be cutting off any of your flowers, because if you don't know the species, you don't know if this plant's going to be blooming on old or new wood. So the safest thing to do is to go in here first on a bush like this, is to go back and cut off all of the old flower heads. That's simple enough. You can take all of those out to kind of shape it up and clean it up, make it look nice. And then once you get all the old flower heads removed, then you can come back to a stem like this. Obviously you've got good growth here, so go in and take out all of the old dead stems all over the plant. After you have removed the old bloom heads and you've also cut back the dead tissue from the ends of some of the branches, you may notice, like on a plant like this, that you have entire branches that are dead. We had a pretty hard winter this past winter, and sometimes they almost just self-prune themselves. So you need to go in here and take out all of these old dead branches all the way to the ground. And this one right here, it's a big one, so we're going to take it out. We're going to take out also this one. This one is dead. And we're going to take out this one. And also, you can take this time to notice, if you've got parts of your shrubs that are hanging out in the walkway, like this one right here. And that's kind of in the way, so you can go ahead and cut it all the way back as well. And that will take care of that. And of course, you're cutting off any flowers, but still, you're getting those branches out of the way so that they're not poking somebody when they walk through your garden. Here is an example of a hydrangea before we prune out all of the old flower heads and the dead stems and other tissue. And here's the same hydrangea after we have done all of the needed pruning. After we've taken out all of the old bloom heads and taken out all of the obvious dead tissue and branches, we wind up with a shrub like this. Now this is an old, mature hydrangea, and now we're going to talk about a type of pruning that we do on these types of shrubs, and it's called rejuvenation pruning. And this is a good time of year to do this. And what we're going to do is take out some of these older branches all the way to the ground. And what that does, we're going to stimulate new growth from the base of the plant that will be young, more flowering, and more productive type tissue. We're only going to take out, though, a third of these branches at a time. This is the hydrangea bush that we're going to go in and do the rejuvenation pruning on. This is before we do the pruning. And here's the same hydrangea after we have done the rejuvenation pruning. We can grow so many wonderful hydrangeas in our gardens, and if you don't know what species that you have, the safest kind of pruning that you can do is to just remove the old flower heads and to take out any dead branches and stem tissue that you see. Or you could do the rejuvenation pruning that we just talked about. Now, if you want to learn more about hydrangeas, you need to check out our extension publication, Hydrangeas for Mississippi Gardens, publication number 2574. I'm Leah Kelly, and this has been Gardening Through the Seasons.